Sundar, some temple around your house?
It's
What
my
is
house.
house? Huh?
My house.
Your house is good. Yeah, it's a good auspicious beginning, I think. Temple bell ringing.
Oh, yes, yes,
See, we could, yeah, we got a, I think, good pickup.
yes.
But when you're on air, tell me, I'll also start.
Yeah,
Live streaming started, sir.
Okay, Facebook?
Facebook, YouTube, both.
Okay, so anyway, I'm going to talk something out of box only. So, shall we start or we'll wait for another minute?
yeah. Is it 9? Yeah, it's almost 9.
Almost nine. Another minute I'll wait. So, we are used to down on time. Yes, we always start sometime before time. But today we have changed the timing, from 11 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So it will take some time for to sink in the minds of our members that today the event is at 9, not at 11. But
Correct.
notwithstanding, we have given a lot of reminders. But not only thing, it will be also be available on YouTube and Facebook for quite some time. People will publicize that so that people missed it in the morning could watch it again.
Excellent.
Okay, ready to go, Shankar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to you for another edition of our live on Zoom. Thank you. You have been cooperating. You have been such a great members. We have been getting excellent feedback from you for the events which we have been doing it for the last 3 weeks with you. Our intention is to keep you busy from morning till late in the evening. Our programs at MMA start at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. It carries on till about 8 o'clock in the evening. You all aware, just to remind you, every morning 7:30 you get a SMS for the yoga session with Art of Living. Then from 8 to 10 we have kept live quiz, 2 hours window. I think some of the people finish it in 6 minutes. I'm quite sure you can do it in 10 15 minutes. The idea is to kindle your thought process. That happens every morning at 8 o'clock. Thereafter, we have a morning talks at 11 o'clock every day scheduled for you. We have some outstanding thought leaders, thinkers who speak. We also do repeat telecast. Plus, now we also started doing live through Zoom speakers from all over India. One such initiative is what is starting today. Then we also having workshops, certificate courses, series of courses, branding, and most of them are happening between midday in the evening. Then we also sharing with you every day puzzle, crossword puzzle on business, which you could do it at your own time. And idea is not all the time you watch the news and keep bothering with you what's happening, why the curve is not flattening as soon as possible you wanted to. But keep your mind away from that and keep watching some of these events. Will keep you refreshed and intellectually make you very sound. And we also every day share with you with Satwa. We are doing some outstanding events, which is there available every day window of 24 hours. You can log in some of the interesting programs on team management, motivation, everything is there on our course. Then again in the evening, 6 o'clock, we have a talk as usual every day. So besides that, we have number of other initiatives which we are trying to connect with you every morning. We are sharing with you excellent articles written by great thought leaders. In fact, thanks to the speaker today, Dr. Manu Vora, he's also shared number of articles which he'll be sharing with you. The idea is to keep you busy. One request we want to share with you is stay at home, enjoy, keep healthy, keep yourself medically fit. But just to talk about what's happening today, I keep hearing. I attended a number of webinars and number of sessions with number of people. What I hear from most of the thought leaders is today people should be worried, should not be worrying about no what are the destroyed opportunities, and we should worried about the deferred opportunities. Whatever is gone or bygone, should be worrying about. And the difficult times require difficult decision making. Actually, that's one of the reason we are what we are going to brought to you today is the topic which is very very relevant today. And you also know today the whole world, the way they are going to look at the way they were going to work is going to change. To give an example of MMA, all our MMA staff, they are working from home. Each one of them been given a laptop. And I can assure you, if you had told me about a month back, MMA staff to work from home, I don't think I would have agreed to that. I would have said no way is possible. Today, I'm convinced that working from home is going to be an order of the day. You have to change. I find it so comfortable, and I find it more productive. I'm able to monitor. Our people are more productive because they're available online 24 hours. They do it, and most of the number of events we are doing, coordinating from morning till evening. We are able to do that because we are able to do it at our own comfort, at our own pace. So the way the whole world is going to look is going to change. People may not go for the large offices and fancy offices, and people work from home. The way the countries will look on themselves will go to change. They'll be looking inward. The way the whole constitutional changes will change, which will really impact. I think yesterday one of the speakers, Sunilkant Munjal, we had a webinar last night, him and where each no it he shared with us 5 hours, which is very important for each of the industrialists and everybody. And what he said is 5 hours is still, one is the first R is resilience, and you should be there. It doesn't make any difference for each of you. Second one is to resolve yourself to go through this difficult situation, and most importantly, reform. You have to realign ourselves, reform ourselves to the present situation, and response to the situation is very, very important, where the talk by decision making today will be very useful to you. And reimagination, so you have to keep reimagining ourselves and do something innovative all the time, so that you are all the time engaged with what you want to do. So keep sending your feedback, keep sending your opportunities, what we should do. That we'll be happy to connect with you. And let me have the privilege of introducing our distinguished speaker today. The profile has already been shared with your detailed profile. Dr. Vora is the chairman and president, Business Excellence in USA, and did his BTech from IIT Banaras Hindu University. He's a Fulbright specialist from US Department of State, USA, in the year 2016-21. He's also adjunct professor of Short School of Business, Illinois, and adjunct faculty professional. And he's also visiting faculty of a number of great universities in US as well as in India, Banaras Hindu University. And he is also won number of awards, national, international awards. He's written some outstanding article, which he shared with me. Each of the articles are a gem. And he's also the president and executive of, he's also a regular TEDx speaker, Fulbright specialist, as I mentioned to you. And he's got a number of awards, accolades from national and international thing. And he's a thought leader. And when I invited him, he was readily accepted to talk from Chicago, from his house. The time difference is almost 11:15 at night. Look at the passion of the gentleman to speak for each one of your benefit at 11 o'clock in the night for him and 9 o'clock in the morning. That's why we have to reschedule our program from 11 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'm quite sure you're going to have a great time with the professor, sharing with us effective decision making in difficult times. I also have a request to make to each one of you. Please send your questions during the question hours, so that professor from the Zoom or whatever methodology we form, he'll be able to address your concern, answer your question. So if you keep sending your questions regularly, it'll be difficult, but notwithstanding, share your question. I look forward to you having a great time for next 1 hour. Please do keep joining us, and you are the adrenaline which pumps us to really perform great and all the time connect with you for intellectually make you well. Keep healthy, keep safe, and keep learning. Now, over to you, Professor. We are eagerly looking forward to hearing you effective decision making in difficult times. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, good morning, and thank you, Captain Vijay Kumarji, for a very kind introduction. I want to especially thank Mr. Shankar and Mr. Sundar, the technical and program help, Dr. Badri for making a connection with the MMA. And I'm very delighted to come from Chicago via the Zoom. And today's topic is very relevant, as Captain already mentioned. Now, let me give you the genesis of this program. Back in 2011, the Illinois Park District, equivalent to Forestry Service for the state, they were trying to teach their leaders about various topics, and I was invited to speak on effective decision making. So one thing I did was went to Harvard Business Review, looked up some of the best resources, and read about 10 articles on effective decision making. and summarize them and put together this presentation. Over the years, it has been delivered to 20 different places, including the executives from the Brazilian industry coming to my school, Illinois Institute of Technology, for executive training, Tata Network Forum, and other places it has been given, including IIT BHU. So this is a topic of interest everywhere in the current situation. So let me begin to share my presentation at this point. So here is the roadmap for next 1 hour. I'll briefly go over my brief background vis-a-vis decision making. Then we'll take some of the simple quotes on decision making from good thought leaders. And then I want to walk you down number of opportunities we have to make decision in a professional setting as well as the personal setting. I've added one special slide because of the current crisis going around the world on COVID-19. And then my goal is to share with you some of the interesting decision-making models, followed by some of the best-in-class decision-making in action, best practices, and share with you some nice references. And then we'll take question and answers. So just to recap, both in the for-profit and non-profit organizations, honored to have experience managing customers, people, processes, and working with leaders using some of the major models like US Baldrige Performance Award and International Standards Organization ISO models. Now, let's look at some of the nice quotes. The first one comes from Lee Iacocca. He was at Ford Motor Company, he retired. And when Chrysler was in trouble, they invited Lee to come back and steer the company from bankruptcy to good place. What Lee is saying that if I had to sum up in a word what makes a good manager, I would say decisiveness. You can use fancy computer to gather the numbers, but in the end, you have to set a timetable and act using the information at hand. If you don't make the decision, time will go away and you will be left out and a competition will take advantage. The second quote is from a researcher from the Stanford Graduate School of Business, Jim Collins. He says, greatness is not a function of circumstance. Greatness, it turns out, is largely a matter of conscious choice and discipline. And this choice and discipline is related to the decision making we do every day, both in professional and personal setting. The last quote is from Peter Drucker, the father of management. He says, most discussions of decision making assume that only senior executives should make decisions and their decisions are the only one that matters. And according to him, this is a very dangerous mistake. So keep in mind that each and every person working in an organization is supposed to be making decisions to support the customers, to support the operations, to make sure that the employees are working in cohesion. So everybody's decisions are adding up. It's not just the executives' decisions which matter. It's everybody's decisions are needed. Now, let's take the journey into professional decision making. Now, some of you may be in a position after the whole thing settles, the coronavirus, and when things come back to normal, you will be looking for getting new people on board. You have to make a decision when you have a number of candidates. Who are you going to bring them in, or who you would not hire, and why would you hire some person? A lot of time it turns out is the attitude of the person which allows you to make that decision more quickly. Next one is the onboarding. The key is when you hire a person, you really want to make sure that they are comfortable and they are oriented completely with the organization, what is the vision, the mission, what are some of the values, what are major products, and who are the key customers, etc. So you need to provide that onboarding guidance and orientation. Now, and I'm going to share with you some of the personal examples when I joined AT&T Bell Labs back in 1983. Initial training and ongoing training, this is where the professional decision making is very important. So when I joined Bell Labs back in 83, they had a very special customized set of training in the first 6 months. And also they had a first initial assignment cut out based on my skills and my experience. And the idea was they want to make sure that the candidates who come in inside the AT&T Bell Labs, they have the opportunity to use their skills and knowledge to make them a successful person by tackling that assignment, bringing good results. And once they get the confidence they can do it well, they're going to stay for a long time within the company. So initial assignment, ongoing assignments, you have to make conscious choices, who to give what tailored assignments so they keep growing into their work area. Performance feedback. So this is the place where in case if you have 10 people you are managing, you need to give them appropriate performance feedback. It should be focused on development. It should give them opportunity to let them know what good things they bring on the table, give pat on the back, as well as identify few areas where they can do well with respect to getting additional training and so their performance improves. Next item is coaching. Now, coaching is not in the sports sense, but as a supervisor or a manager, one need to be a coach of your employees. And what does the coach do? The coach find out that what are the strengths of an individual, where they are the best. And when you find out the strength of your employee, and when you make the assignment congruent to their strength, they are going to bring the best results with very little supervision. So that coaching aspect requires good decisions, good work required on the part of managers, supervisors, etc. Mentoring. Now, I want to stress the importance of mentoring. So when I joined Bell Labs, on the day one, I had two mentors already assigned. One was technical mentor who stayed with me for 6 months to share with me how things get done at Bell Labs. The second mentor was a social mentor, and AT&T was very big in diversity management. So I had an Asian American mentor. He showed me the various clubs and activities available for employees during lunch hours and after work. And you can join any of the clubs and start assimilating into the workplace.
ப்ரொஃபஸர் சிக்காவிலேருந்து பேசியிருக்காரு இடி இன்னொருத்தர் ப்ரொஃபஸரு நான் இருக்க வீடியோ ஆஃப் பண்ணி வச்சிட்டேன்.
The next item is the professional growth. Now, one thing I would like to stress that when you get your first degree, that's the start of your professional journey. It's not the end of the learning. The journey begins from that point on until we go back and meet our creator. So every day we need to learn something new and enrich ourselves so that we are more worthwhile and more worthy of giving back to our organization and keeping ourselves occupied with the new ideas and try to be at the cutting edge. Promotion. So you have three candidates, one opening to promote. Who are going to promote and who will get that slot? That requires lots of decisions. And you need to work in your team to ensure that you review the performance. You also review the potential of what that person can do in the future if they get promoted and what value they will bring on the table. Terminations. Sometimes a person may not work out well within the organization because they could be either a misfit or they do not have the right skills and they are at the wrong place. So the idea is you need to work with your HR to understand what's happening and try to give a notice, put the observation for 6 months. And if the person cannot improve the performance, they should be let go so that they can find a place somewhere else and use their strengths and talents. Next, capital projects. Now, this is an area where you as a leader or a manager are going to review several proposals looking for the investment needed to deploy the capital projects. So you need to have basic idea of which each of these proposals is talking about, and then decide what is the cost benefit and what is the ultimate impact to the organization. So a lot of decision making goes in on the part of the leadership team to which project to fund and which project will have to wait until the next round. Strategic planning, the big issue when the top leaders, the senior leadership team gets together once a year minimal to put together their thoughts on creating the vision, the mission, the values, and develop a strategic plan by identifying 3 or 4 key strategies for the year, and then create a business plan and start deploying that throughout the workplace. Lots of decisions to be made based on the input regarding the customers, the employees, the competition, finance, operations, etc. Informations. Now, a lot of time when the issues arise, either from the customer side or from the operations side or from the finance, the team needs to be formed. Now, the leaders have to make a thoughtful decisions, what team to charter, when to charter, who to appoint as a team leader, so that that team can put together the right response for the challenge at hand. Managing suppliers, another big issue where decisions are critical. You have number of suppliers, you need to create a more like a Excel spreadsheet, put each and every supplier's strengths and weaknesses at one place, and then depending on their credibility, their ability to provide you material, their flexibility, their timing, their pricing, all of those decisions, and then you choose the right supplier to make sure that your operations is moving and you get the best supplies at the minimal cost. Time management. Now, current day and age, we all are being asked to do more in less time. So it's up to us. We get about 8 to 8.5 hours per day. How we use our time to work on the important things, not on the urgent things or the firefighting only. And I'll bring this topic back towards the end of the presentation. Where should we spend our time in the professional setting? And how to manage the change. The world is looking for managing the change because the technology is changing, the rules and regulations are changing, the world is changing constantly. Only thing constant is the change. So how do you manage your change initiatives? And of course, your boss will give you a number of items to do list, and that list keeps growing. You need to negotiate with your immediate supervisor or the manager to prioritize what needs to be done for the benefit of the organization. So if by looking at all these areas, we realize that we have so many opportunity in the professional setting to make decisions. And the decisions we make as an individual, as a supervisor, as a leader, will have tremendous impact on the outcome for the organization. and lot of time we don't make the right decisions, which will come back and haunt us, and the results will be suboptimal because of the bad decisions or not making any decisions. And by the way, when you don't decide, by default, it is a decision, which is not a good one because that's a reactionary, and we'll talk about it in one of the model coming up shortly. Now we switch the side to personal decision making. Lot of opportunity here. Schooling for yourself, spouse, children. Now, personally, for my case, I was studying in my native place in Amreli in state of Gujarat until high school. So after finishing SSC, I came to Mumbai, did my 2 years as Khalsa College, and studied science. And I was good in chemistry and mathematics. So I decided to opt for chemical engineering. And with the grace of God, I found a place at one of the top institute, Banaras Hindu University, which became IIT BHU in 2012. Those were the best years of my life. I learned a lot in a wonderful university. Now, my spouse, she is a medical doctor. She comes from KM Hospital and St. J.'s Medical College in Mumbai. Our children, we have two boys. Both of them went to good schools here in the state. Older one went to Stanford University, studied computer science, worked in the industry, and then did MBA at Kellogg Graduate School, Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern. And my younger son went to Berkeley for economics. Jobs, your job as well as spouse's job. Now, I've been through few jobs, and my tendency is to stay at one place as long as you can and keep adding value. So I've stayed in the chemical industry first, and then when the industry was down, I had started doing my MBA, and I got a job at AT&T Bell Labs, which was a sudden departure from chemical engineering to telecommunication. And within the telecommunication, I changed to quality management discipline. And along the way, I started teaching at the business school to bring the industry knowledge so that the students can get both theory as well as the practice. And of course, my wife, as a medical doctor, she just finally retired just in time, because right now we have two grandchildren with us, my son and daughter-in-law. They are all with us for last 3 weeks because of the lockdown here in the state. And she has worked at a few hospitals and a number of medical places. Financial. Now, as you keep earning more and more, I'm sure you are thinking about saving money for your retirement. Where are you going to invest, in what areas, and when to invest, how to invest, etc. Shopping, both durable and non-durable goods, which brand you want to like to buy, and which area you will go and get your material. Housing, whether you want to rent or buy down the road. Automobile, which particular car you want to have. Now, a lot of time it's more like a status symbol, but you need the car to go from place to place. So depending on your situation, you decide what's the best option. So personally, when I was a student, I'd bought a second-hand car, which cost only $800 that time. That was year 1970, 50 years ago. And car ran for almost 10 years, even though it was a second-hand car. Appliances, which one, which brand, which place you are going to buy it from. Clothing, which department store, which type of clothing, and again, different seasons. You need to have at least the idea of what you want to buy for yourself, your spouse, children, etc. when they're young. Place of worship, where you are going to go. You have to make a decision close to home and a good place where you can go and have peace of mind. Sports, Either you are playing it or watching it. And of course, in India, cricket and football, which is both are very popular. Vacation. When time comes, I'm sure you are keeping your vacations open after all this bad situation passes over, at least on a yearly basis. One should keep in mind that taking vacation recharges your battery. And when I was with AT&T Bell Labs for 17 and a half years, our leaders emphasized that don't be workaholic. Try to take time off from the work because work is never ending. You need to have personal time with the family. Go away for whatever time you have, 1 week, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Take your vacation on a regular basis. Hobbies. One should cultivate some hobbies. And personally, I enjoyed doing photography, travel internationally. I like the philanthropy. I've been very happy to mention that about 30 years ago, we started a blind foundation for India to support 15 million blind, 1 out of 3 in the world in India. Personal improvements. We all can identify few areas where we can continue to hone up our skills and personal improvements on a continuous basis by reading lots of books. And at this stage, I read Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan, uh, Management Review, McKinsey Quarterly, Inc., Forbes, etc. Number of magazine, good articles, and nowadays we get lots of push on the internet via email every day. Time management on a personal level, how you spend your time you spend with your family, with your children, for spending time giving service at the religious places, place of worship, etc. Those are important things. And I call it the honey-do list. So if you have a spouse, she will give you or he will give you a list of things you need to do, and you have to accept that list and keep working on it. Otherwise, you may not get the supper or a lunch that day. Okay, now we come to the current situation, decision making during COVID-19. And as Captain already mentioned, social isolation, Prime Minister Modi ji extended it to May the 3rd, total 40 days. Seriously follow the official guidelines. Frequent hand washing with soap and water, 20 seconds minimum at a time. These are some reminders basically for ourselves. If you need to make an outside trip to get the essentials, mainly the grocery, buy things for 2 weeks at a time to avoid a lot of exposure. Seek medical help when appropriate. Look after elderly people, your parents, the neighbors, etc. For youngsters at home, you need to be creative and engage them. And now with the technology, you can do many things with the youngsters. And I can tell you, whole day we have 2 grandchildren who are running around in the house. My wife, who has become the general manager, GM, grandmother, she takes care of both of them. And I get involved part of the time when I'm not busy with my work, but you have to entertain the youngsters and keep them focused. Share in the house chores. Now, one thing I do well is cleaning. As a chemical engineer, I've learned how to do the cleaning operation. So all the dishes I do, and that's my part. My wife is an excellent cook. So she cooks the food and I take on once the dishes are ready to be done. So I do the dishes, try to be helpful to the significant others. Avoid rumors, do not propagate false information. And bottom line, we need to have more discipline and vigilance during these difficult times, because the choices and the decision we make or don't make can impact not only our lives, but others' lives also. So stay healthy, stay safe. Now, I want to share with you a very simple tool from the quality discipline called tree diagram. And this simple tool, and of course the timing is not right. It talks about going on vacation, and going to Europe is a no-no at the moment, and you cannot do any of these. But let me frame the uh, tool here. There are various levels of decision making. There's a decision level 1, which says you want to go on vacation. For that decision level 1, there are number of options at decision level 2. And for decision level 2, for each of those 3 options, there is a decision level 3, which opens up more options, ultimately leading to the outcomes. So the point I want to make is, on a single piece of paper, you can assemble a lot of information and go from your major decision to final outcome by traversing on any of the path. And this is a very simple tool used in the quality management discipline, started by the Japanese, and is picked up all over the world. And some of you in the audience who are in the quality discipline, you may have seen it or used this simple tree diagram, which is nothing but your organization chart sideways. So your top person, generally the organization chart with the top person, CMD, or the president or the CEO at the top. Now here, your decision level 1 is the CMD, is on the left side, sideways. Now, if there are any students in the audience or any professionals who are continue to do the additional choices to continue their education, you have many choices at hand. If you want to go in the business area, then there are sub choices like accounting, finance, operation, strategy, marketing, etc. When I did my MBA, I chose to do marketing management as my major, because I understood the value of marketing. Because if you cannot market anything, then your great products will remain more like a mystery. Nobody will be able to get it. And one thing I can mention, in the Western world, in USA, they are extremely good at marketing. They can sell anything and everything to anybody and everybody. Engineering, many branches and sub branches. I chose chemical engineering, but you can have civil, mechanical, electrical, telecommunication, mining, metallurgy, computer science, etc. Some people prefer to go in the law. You can have patent law, real estate, etc. Medicine, many opportunities, pediatrics, internal medicine, surgeon, etc. You may want to choose fine arts, liberal arts, life sciences, or pharmaceutics, depending your interest and using your strengths. And one thing I want to mention, that as I mentioned, I was good with chemistry and mathematics, so I chose chemical engineering. And those two strong areas allowed me to study well in chemical engineering. Next, decisions you make about the branches, etc., or continuing education should lead for something, for meaningful work at the end of the day. So once you get your first degree, or you get an additional degree, undergrad, grad, postgrad, you may want to change your job, you want to go into corporate world, or you want to become an educator, or you want to join the government work, NGO, R&D labs, or if you are brave, you start your own company. And let me tell you one simple example. When we had Professor Mohammad Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize winner from Bangladesh, here in Chicago, he was getting interviewed at Chicago Public Radio, and he made a profound statement that our education system is lopsided. We are creating more job seekers than job creators.
Radhe Radhe.
We need to have more entrepreneurs creating the jobs. At this point, I'll request Mr. Shankar to play this YouTube on group decision making. And I'll stop sharing at this point. Volume is not there.
You check the sound.
Captain, volume is not there. We
Can
may.
can you do something on the volume, Sundar Shankar? Are you online? Shankar?
So what happened, sir?
Sound is not coming.
Sound is not coming. Oh,
No. You start from the playing from the beginning so that you don't miss anything.
Decisions
So
can be
please
hard
check, sir.
enough, but
Now it's
making them with a
audible?
group can be particularly tricky.
Okay.
Let's look at an example of group decision making and how using decision skills can help. This is Mike, Chris, Matt, and Arlo. They like hanging out together because they're pretty good friends. This Friday night, they're going out to eat before they go to a friend's party. Where do you want to go? Says Mike. I don't care, says Chris. Me neither, says Matt. As long as it's good, says Arlo. Sounds like it should be pretty easy, right? But here's the thing. Mike, Chris, Matt, and Arlo all have different ideas about how this is going to work out. And they have different thoughts about what they would like and what is important to them. And they might just be assuming that those same things are important to all of them. But no worries. The guys have been friends for a long time and know that they need to work some stuff out. Without even really thinking about it, they begin communicating and clarifying. I was thinking pizza, says Mike. I had pizza for lunch. How about Thai, or the diner for a change? I'm a little strapped for cash this week, so can we make it on the cheaper side, says Matt. And how are we going to get there, says Arlo. That's a good start, but now they dig a little deeper. I've got my mother's car this evening, so I can drive, says Matt. And the party doesn't start until later, so we've got plenty of time, says Mike. Last time I went to the Thai place, it was good, but it's not very cheap. We could try that taco place that just opened up on Maple Ave. Has anyone been there? Is it any good? I haven't heard anything about it, other than it's finally open. Tacos are cheap, but if they're bad, they're really bad. Is pizza out? I could go for a slice. I couldn't do pizza, but I guess I could order a cheesesteak instead. I'm just feeling a little cheesed out, you know? All right, pizza's off the list. And so's Thai. It'd be good, but it's too much to spend for this week. Fine. So, diner or new tacos? Tacos would be closer. It's only a couple of blocks, while the diner is all the way out on the highway. Yeah, but we know the diner is good, and the cherry pie is pretty much worth the trip. Yeah, but we could try something new. If only we knew if the taco place was good or not. Right around here is when people fall into one of the biggest group decision traps, decision fatigue. This is when you get sick of discussing an issue and just want to throw in the towel and do whatever seems easiest. All right, I don't care anymore. Let's just get pizza like we always do. Then Chris says, I don't really want pizza, come on. We just have to decide between the diner and the taco place. What do you think? Arlo replies, all right. Even though it might be a nice change, we don't know how good the taco place will be. I say we hold off on trying it until we hear something about it. And tonight, let's go to the diner. We've got a car so we can drive, which we might not have next week. There are all kinds of things on the menu, so people can be adventurous if they don't want burgers and fries. Plus, it's cheap and it's good. Excellent. Good job, guys. You communicated and clarified the elements of your decision basis and thought your way to a good decision. And you stuck with it and didn't fall for decision fatigue. Way to go. Have a piece of cherry pie for me.
Okay, so with that, you saw how the decision making works, right? Okay, I'm going to come back and pick up from where we left. I want to take you through some of the decision making models. Important to remember that the decision making is a skill that is learned and it improves with practice. Now, the way to learn is we can make better decision by looking at some of the basic decision-making models that tells us what is the process by which we arrive at a conclusion or the choices and the decisions we make. So there are 6 of them. First is scientific, which is knowledge-based. It's a detective approach. Second one is ethical, doing the right thing, which is a moral approach. Next is economical, net gain by doing cost-benefit approach. Fourth is political. The decision you take will be palatable to people. It's a subjective approach. Using the experience, past knowledge is a familiarity approach. And the last one is habitual, default-based. It's a passive approach. So out of these 6, first 5 are proactive. Habitual is reactive. So don't try to rely on habitual only all the time, because that is not going to give you more value. And keep in mind that at a given time, you may be using combination of number of these models for a given situation. Now, next wonderful article was on 9 steps to decision making. And I'm sure we all know when we have too many options and the pending decisions, we can get overwhelmed. But keep in mind, the decision is as easy or as complicated as we choose to be. We need to take control and decide to be decisive. And our ability for decision making is dependent only on the mindset. If we have a mental attitude which can become strong with the practice and persistence, and there are 9 steps to be decisive. What are these steps? First, believe in yourself that you are decisive and you will make good decisions. Secondly, visualize yourself as a quick and firm decision maker. Third, there are no bad decisions. Action beats inaction. Next, be brave. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because it's okay to make mistake, but you learn from that mistake and next time make a better decision using the learning from the one where it did not go well. Have faith, listen to your instinct, take a step back, decide by expanding the possibilities, thinking out of the box, set the time limit. A lot of people put together their final decisions when there's a deadline. And a lot of people work under tight deadlines, but don't do it all the time. Persistent practice, make fast decisions often. I'm sure those of you who are practicing project management, they say that in project management it's important to fail fast to succeed sooner. Fail fast to succeed sooner, because you take few steps, work on a small thing, and when you are not successful, use that failure to come to a better decisions and start coming to bring the project to the closure. And the last item is think out loud. Clearly define the question, write down options and assumptions, and work with your team so that your decisions are better and better and adding value in the organization. Now here comes the bad news, culture of indecisions, and this is true everywhere around the world. The single greatest cause, the cause of corporate underperformance is failure to execute. So think of it this way, world over, the organization do strategic planning, but only 1/3 of those organizations are successful in executing their strategic plan. 2/3 of them fail. A lot of it is connected to not doing the prioritization on the strategies, not allowing right resources to work on key strategies, not having continuous review on a quarterly basis on the outcome of those key strategies, and not sharing those strategies throughout the organization. Now, these kind of failures to execute can result because there is a inaction on the part of the people. whether the organization is small or
Right,
large.
you want to say something? Sure. I saw you left the thing. That's why I thought I'd speak to you. Is it okay? No, not bad. No, not bad. No, good, informative. Good.
Yeah, the inability to take decisive action is rooted in company's culture. And to find the solution, Dr. Ram Sharan, who is one of the top consultant, he talks about doing three things. He said, have to have intellectual honesty in connection between people, have a honest dialogue at the course when people meet, and third most important thing is provide feedback and follow through by rewarding the high achievers, coach those who are struggling, and discourage those whose behaviors are blocking the organization's progress. So once again, those who are doing good work and high achievers, give them feedback and follow through. Coach who are struggling at the other end, and those who are sitting in the middle doing things which are not helping the organization, discourage them so that the progress is not blocked. Now, next question comes, who makes the decision? And this is where a lot of confusion comes. Lot of time decisions in the organization stall because nobody knows who is in charge. So who is accountable for decision, and how do we arrive at a clarity in the decision making? Use the RAPID model, and RAPID R stands for who will recommend the course of action for the key decision. A, who will agree to the recommendation. P, who will perform the actions. I, whose input is needed to determine proposal's feasibility. And D, who decides to bring the action to closure and commit the organization to implement it. So keep in mind, this RAPID will provide the accountability of who is going to be doing what in order to take actions on the decisions you have made. Now, this is a little bit of a homework. You think about last three meaningful decisions and answer some of these questions when you have a little spare time at the office or at work or sitting at home doing the work for the company. Now, why good leaders made bad decisions? This is another topic which comes back most of the time. So keep in mind that the good leaders, they do a lot of pattern recognition and emotional tagging because they want to make a quick and effective decisions, but that can be distorted by self-interest, emotional attachments, or misleading memories. Now, these three red flags needs to be watched, and to guard against these red flags, one need to have more analysis, greater debate, and stronger governance. When you have those safeguards, you can overcome those red flags and allow the executives to make better decisions all the time. Now, important topic, we can do a lot of planning, but if you don't have any execution, then those plans or the decisions remains on paper only. And this is tied to the strategic plan. Now, the current strategic plan, the traditional way, there is a serious flow. First, is conducted only annually. Secondly, it unfolds unit by unit. There's no synergy. So think of it as a company with a number of divisions. Each divisions do their strategic plan on a silo basis, and they are not connected. So frustrated with these constraints, the executives normally sidestep this formal process and then make their decisions without any debate. And they are either making it incorrectly, too slowly, or not at all. So the guidance from this article is that how do we improve the quality and quantity of our strategic decisions? And this important thing is to do continuous issues-focused strategic planning. And let me give you one practical example. When Alan Mulally joined Ford Motor Company coming out of Boeing, he used to have weekly strategic plan review where all managers around the world will get on 2 hours of phone calls every Friday morning, and they will review the strategic plan and try to make sure that they are current and they are stepping ahead of the competition. So flexible week-to-week review of the strategic plan to remain current in the business conditions, technology changes, regulation changes, etc. And debate one issue at a time until you reach a decision. And the reward is you can make better decisions and more strategic decisions every year. So here is the proof of the pudding. If you do only annual review on a single business unit basis, at the most you will have 2.5 decisions per year. Annual review focused on issues, you improve it to 3.5. Continuous review focused on business unit 4.1. But continuous review focused on issues, you are able to do 6.1 decisions, which compared to 2.5 is 144% better. So it is very important to understand some of these ideas where it's not just making a plan, but executing those plans to get the value for the organization. Now, I mentioned about the time management. So let's quickly review Dr. Stephen Covey's time management metrics. As we see on the y-axis, whether it's important or not important, x-axis urgent or not urgent. Guidance from Dr. Stephen Covey, who is a management think tank, is say spend 90 to 95% of the time in quadrant 2. And what do we do in quadrant 2? Prevention activities, relationship building, planning, recreation when we have done some good work. 5 to 10% only in the quadrant 1 top left, crises and deadlines, that is firefighting. And by the way, some people are so smart in the organization, they will start the fire, then they will come in with the fire hoses, the fire extinguishers, and they'll put the fire out. Now, top management, a lot of time have no idea what's happening. They will consider them hero and give them promotions, but they don't realize that they are the one creating the fires and then acting to put it out. And by the way, quadrant 3 and 4, there are a lot of unneeded activities which should not be allowed in the workplace. So keep in mind, you want to work on important but not urgent activities from the Stephen Covey's guidance. Now, the last item I wanted to discuss with you is how to manage our inbox. We get so much information coming in via smartphone, via email, SMS, each and every different way you can think of, people calling. Now, whatever information comes in, there are certain things you need to do. So consider 4 buckets. Things you need to do, put it in the do bucket. Second thing is delegate. If you have people working with you, give them small item so they can work on it and get the results for you and do it in a diligent way. Give them specific item, give them the roadmap, what is expected. Don't tell them how to do it, and then have a regular review and receive the good work at the end. Third, you need to do it, but you are tied up. So you delay it for a week, put it down on a yellow sticky paper and come back and take care of it. And lot of things coming our way should go in the fourth basket, the dump basket. It should not see the light of the day. Put it away. It's a waste of your time and it's not necessary in the professional setting. So in summary, I like this quote about AMA, ability, motivation, and attitude. Each one of them have a different level. Ability determines what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines how you do it, but it is the attitude that determines how well you do it. So if you have positive attitude, you will always achieve much better than the people who are naysayers. And you also want to hire people who have positive attitude. Now, in order to effectively make decisions and execute them, you need to engage all 3 H's. The heart, which is your emotions, head, the ideas and logic, and hands, the implementation. Now, I like this simple definition of leadership, which is a catalyst for change. And leadership is all about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. It can never get better than this or simpler than this. It's very profound. Leadership is all about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. So the leader's ability is to translate the vision into action and actions into next level of vision for decisive decision making. And very important to remember that decisiveness comes with the decision that you are decisive. So start deciding today and you will be a great decision maker. So I wanted to bring you to your attention the one reference I used, HBR's 10 must reads on making smart decision. It has been updated several times. Wonderful resource. And then there are several good books. One book by John Carter, who is the father of change management. He has another book come out in 2012, Leading Change. Excellent book by Patrick Lencioni on leadership fables. So wonderful references for your use. And at this point, I want to end the presentation and we will start taking questions through the chat box.
Chat.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes.
Great insight and excellent, and we learned a lot. I think the questions must be coming to you.
Yes.
I'll also ask some of the people who are there to send their questions now. Maybe I'll ask you the first question there. Now,
Sure.
I want you to tell us, under difficult conditions like we have a lockdown, the government of India said we must take care of our staff. We should not terminate them. We should continue to pay them. And there are some of the SMEs who totally depends upon the revenue what they generated to pay their employees actually. Under these conditions, we also keep hearing cash is the king actually. Now, what is your advice to these SMEs? How do they take care of their employees' morale, keeping in view the regulatory issue where we cannot terminate the service of any employees and if you keep paying them? And how do you advise a company to keep paying them? Some of them totally depend on the generation, the revenue what they generate to pay. So how do you manage this difficult situation?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And I want to narrate to you one story that in a difficult time, so I won't name the name of the company, but the times were very difficult. So the leader of the company who was owning it, he decided to take a total pay cut for himself. And he also ensured that the management team did not take any pay, but they turned that money around and gave it to the workers who needed it for their survival on a day-to-day basis. So one thought is you look at the disparity between what the top management gets and what the workers get. So if for the time being, top management can decide to put part of their money in taking care of the working level people, that will go a long way. And it also creates the loyalty on the part of the employees.
Yeah, great. Yeah, the top management should sacrifice to make sure that bottom line is taken care of.
Yes.
One way of also keep communicating with the people.
65867.
Yes.
Dr. Badri, do you have any questions? Meanwhile, other questions are being compiled. You go ahead, Dr. Badri. Thanks for facilitating us to the professor, Vora.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a good refresher about decision trees. I remember using trees with EMV, expected monetary value approach, but yours was more comprehensive, dealing with everyday decisions, like going to a vacation or visiting family. So that really widened my, the range of decisions to which you can apply that idea. So I have that book by John Carter.
Yeah.
on managing change. So that is about change in the organization. And now, with the shutdown, lockdown, I mean, the schools and colleges, I believe, are going to, because so many students congregate,
Hmm.
uh, they will be opened late, I think. It may be a few months before classes take place in the traditional format.
Yeah.
So, how do you think India can, adapt to this virtual classes quickly? What would
Yeah.
be?
Yeah. So, Dr. Badri, this is a very serious issue, and India needs to act quickly because we have a technology at our side, right? We are technology, software technology is
என்னது
the strength of India. Now, I can tell you one example.
ஆ
I teach currently online class at Northwestern University School of Professional Studies. Fortunately, last year we changed over to the online format. So currently my class is running. I am in the second week of a 10-week program. All top universities here, actually all university in USA has changed over, starting with the April quarter or a semester online. Everything is online. Now in India, we are slow to react to it. I understand some of the IITs are not using online. Some are using, so there is no consistency. Now, online classes are equally effective if we do it well.
பாலாஜிட்ட கல் பாலாஜி
I think we need somebody to go on a mute.
Sundar, you have to please mute your.
சாரி
Thank you. Please go ahead, Professor.
Thank you. Yeah. So what my suggestion is, in the current situation, India should work with the Okay, again, Sundarji, could you please go on a mute?
Yeah.
And those who are not educated, you have to work with those students a little bit more to show them the path where if they finish the education, what is the life they will have, where they can take care of their family, their parents,